groups in your community, could be religious, could be direct service, an education group, a pediatrician, anybody who cares about where kids are and their health and well-being, and get them on a conference call with your member of Congress. If 8 or 10 organizations write to a member of Congress and say, we want 20 minutes of your time on a phone call, you will get it. And I've never seen a member of Congress say no, and we've been doing these for 2 years. So you send in the list and you say, whenever it's convenient for you, we'd like to talk to you for 20 minutes about child nutrition reauthorization. We'd like to discuss with you the needs in our community. And like I said, get the right organizations on the call. Oftentimes, I will be in the member's office in Washington with them so that I can get back to the groups and tell them everything from body language to how the things that the member was writing down, points that I thought he or she reacted to very strongly, and then we have a debriefing call afterwards. And I remember the first time I did this, it was with Alan Boyd, who's a Blue Dog Democrat from northern Florida. And what the groups couldn't see was that twice his secretary, scheduler, came in to tell him that his next appointment was waiting, and twice he waved her off. And so what was supposed to be a 20-minute conversation became a 40-minute conversation, and he committed to fighting for an after-school meal program in Florida. And he became a real champion because they narrowed the ask. They narrowed it to one thing they wanted him to do. Advocates in Nebraska did this postcard campaign. They couldn't get to Washington, so what they did was they had high school students going around with digital cameras and taking pictures of kids in all different kinds of settings where food was being served, and they got release forms from the parents of these kids, and they made them into postcards. And the parents and the kids wrote notes on the back of them and sent them into Washington. So it was a wonderful visual of all the good things that are happening back home in these programs. This is also in your packets, and that is members of Congress love data. They love specific scientific information on what's happening back home. And this is the map of Arizona, and the red areas are areas where 50% of the kids are eligible for free and reduced price meals. The blue areas would come into the programs. And when you look at maps of Arizona, Montana, Kansas, literally the whole state lights up in blue. It's really remarkable. The other thing that we have on our website is the food hardship data, and I should have put it in my PowerPoint, but if you look at the map of the country, the red areas are the areas with the most extreme food hardship. If you notice, there's just a little block of red here, which is the state of Arizona. Capturing real stories, getting your clients to tell their stories is incredibly compelling. We always encourage people when members are having town hall meetings or there are opportunities to meet with them when they're back home, especially in an election year. They're much more available. Encouraging your clients to do that is incredibly important. Op-eds. We often work with groups across the country to help ghostwrite pieces. Yesterday we just finished a piece that we wrote for former Secretary Dan Glickman, because when he was Secretary of Agriculture, he pushed for universal breakfast programs in low-income areas. So he just did a piece on the importance of school breakfast and the importance of expanding its reach. things I love about child nutrition reauthorization, and these are things that you already know, but I will reinforce. I love working on child nutrition reauthorization because in a very poisoned political atmosphere right now in Washington, D.C., we may be the only bill that passes this year that enjoys bipartisan support, and I mean more than just one member of Congress. At that mission readiness hearing earlier this week, it was Secretary Tom Vilsack of Agriculture, the generals and admirals, and Senator Dick Lugar from Indiana. And when Senator Lugar was asked if he supports the president's commitment of $1 billion a year in new money for child nutrition programs, his response was absolutely. There's a letter right now going through Congress on the House side that urges Speaker Pelosi to find the offsets, to find the resources to put into the child nutrition reauthorization effort. Two of your delegation so far have signed on that letter, Mr. Pastor and Mr. Grijalva, and we're hoping others will sign on to it. But we are getting House Republicans who are very concerned about deficits, very concerned about the expansion of government programs. They're signing on to this letter because they know how important it is to feed children and making sure that they're ready to learn. So keeping these programs nonpartisan is critically important to their success. Working collaboratively with others in your community, I think the more bizarre the partnerships you can make, the better. In our Child Nutrition Forum, in this group that we co-chair with the School Nutrition Association, we have groups that I call, for lack of a better term, the bad behavior groups. These are all the groups that obsess about what teens are doing when school is out and you're at work. And it is everything from juvenile crime groups to teen pregnancy prevention, to smoking cessation, to drugs and alcohol. That's their interest. Putting food in the bellies of hungry kids is not what they get up in the morning and think about. We're partnering with them because our motto is, if you feed them, they will come. And we know we can build after-school and out-of-school programs and summer feeding programs with the food. Food is an amazing organizing tool. So once you get reimbursed for the meals and snacks, you have all these groups coming in and adding their resources and the staffing to make sure that kids are safe. And in this reauthorization effort, it's all the nutrition groups that are really at the table with us, and the farm-to-school groups, and the locally grown groups. They see this as a wonderful way to bring together all these different interests. So I think my advice to you, if you haven't sat around a table and thought about who isn't here recently, you should do that, because again, the more bizarre the relationships, the better. We work a lot with industry, we work a lot with agriculture. There are times when there are people who could be on other sides of different arguments with us, but when it comes to expanding the child nutrition programs, we have an incredible partnership going with a lot of different people. My saying to groups are collaborate. This is sort of a Garrison Keillor sort of takeoff, but collaborate, cut and paste, and keep in touch. So thank you, and I'd love to answer some questions if you have while I'm here. As Lisa said, don't be shy. Or if you can just share with the group things that you did in your community to help get the attention of your elected officials that you thought was particularly effective. Or things that you did with the kids. I've seen paper plate campaigns and trays where kids wrote on the trays.
Ellen, Give us a couple of examples of how other states have kind of rallied around the child